Hello, everyone. My name is Alex, and today we're talking about something that might change the way you think. We're cracking open James Path's best-selling book, Stop Overthinking. And honestly, I think there's a reason this book hits so many nerves.
I love that you're starting with the hard truth. Most of us don't need more advice. We need to break out of our own mental loops. So if you're tired of just thinking about change, this episode might actually be the push you need.
Exactly. Here's what we'll do. We'll break down what overthinking really is, explain why your brain keeps you stuck, walk through the book exercises, like the 3A method, and here's the kicker. Try out the awareness journal exercise together.
And we'll get real about what works and what's just wishful thinking, plus give you one simple thing you can do before your day ends. Ready to make your mind work for you instead of against you? Let's dive in.
So let's get clear. Overthinking isn't just thinking a lot. There's this subtle difference the book nails between useful thought and rumination.
Yeah, what stands out is that useful thinking actually leads you somewhere like a decision or a solution. But rumination just spins you in circles, making you more anxious or even paralyzed.
I've totally been there, where you replay something endlessly and end up feeling even worse. It's like your brain's running a simulation on repeat.
Exactly, and the worst part is, it can feel productive. You think you're preparing, but really, you're just getting stuck deeper.
The wild thing is, overthinking isn't a flaw. It's your brain trying to protect you by searching for certainty or preventing mistakes.
It's almost like an overprotective friend. Your mind thinks, if I can just analyze everything, nothing bad will happen. But instead, you freeze and nothing changes.
And that's where the trouble starts. The longer you stay in analysis mode, the more your confidence takes a hit.
It's draining, honestly. And sometimes the hardest part is even noticing you're stuck in that loop until hours have gone by.
Let's put this into something relatable. Say you're procrastinating on sending a message. You start imagining every possible reaction, and suddenly, you're convinced it'll go badly.
And then you hit pause. You don't send it, you don't move forward, you just stew in what-ifs. That's the loop James Path describes so well.
It often starts with a small worry, but the mind blows it up. What begins as, will they respond, turns into, they'll hate what I say, and I'll ruin everything.
It's almost like your mind is a worst-case scenario machine. You get stuck, not acting, just thinking, and it feels endless.
What surprises me is how overthinking can feel almost comforting, like you're doing something useful, when really, nothing changes.
That's the trap, right? You convince yourself you're preparing or being responsible, but all that effort just leaves you spinning.
And then you look up and realize you're just more exhausted and less clear than when you started.
It's a total energy drain, and breaking that illusion is the first step to actually changing how you think.
So here's where the book gets really practical. The 3A method is like a mental reset button: awareness, adjustment, and action.
What I love is that it's not just about thinking positive, it's about catching yourself in the loop, stepping back, and then doing something even if it's tiny.
Yeah, it's very much about progress, not perfection. You just need to create enough space to see the loop for what it is.
Sometimes that awareness is all it takes to start shifting the cycle. Even just noticing your patterns can be empowering.
Let's go deeper into that first step, awareness. It's not about shaming yourself for overthinking. It's about naming it. I'm overthinking right now.
I find that language really helpful. Instead of being caught up in the tornado of thoughts, you step outside it for a second. That gap is powerful.
It reminds me of mindfulness, just noticing without reacting. You create a space between you and your thoughts, even if it's brief.
And honestly, sometimes just adding that tiny pause is enough to stop spiraling for a moment.
The next piece is adjustment. You don't have to believe every thought your brain tosses at you. The trick is to challenge it. Is this true or just a story?
Such a subtle shift, but huge. Even saying, I'm having the thought that I'll mess up instead of I will mess up, it gives you distance. You're observing, not absorbing.
I tried this yesterday. You realize so much of your stress comes from imagined disasters, not actual facts.
And it's weirdly freeing. You get a say in which thoughts you believe, instead of just getting swept along.
This is where most people get stuck action. It can feel overwhelming, but the book says it's about small steps, not grand gestures.
That makes it doable, honestly. You don't have to solve everything, just send that one message or make that tiny decision. Action breaks the loop thinking alone won't.
And often, once you act, the anxiety shrinks. It's like your brain finally realizes you're safe to move forward.
Taking action is a muscle once you start. It gets easier to jump out of the overthinking spiral next time.
The awareness journal is such a practical tool. At the end of your day, pick one moment you overthought and write it down.
Here's where it gets interesting separating fact from assumption. What actually happened? And what did your mind add on top of that?
It's almost embarrassing how much of the stress is just made-up stories. When you see it on paper, it loses its grip.
And then you can ask, what's one small action I could take if this happens again? That's where real change begins.
If there's one message to take away from this chapter, it's that you are not your thoughts. Not everything your mind says is true.
That idea alone can be life-changing. When you stop identifying with every anxious thought, you start having more control over your actions and your peace.
It's like learning to drive your mind instead of letting it drive you.
And that's when you can finally build real mental strength instead of just more mental noise.
So, big picture. First, overthinking isn't just overanalyzing. It's being stuck in a loop of thoughts that don't lead to action. Second, awareness creates space. Naming your overthinking is the first move toward change. Third, small actions are what break the cycle, not more thinking.
And here's what you can do next tonight. Try the awareness journal. Just 5 minutes to notice one moment of overthinking, separate fact from story, and pick a small step for next time.
When you realize you're not your thoughts, you unlock the power to change. Thanks for joining us next time. We'll dig into what anxiety actually does inside your mind and body and how to calm it in real time.
Can't wait for that. Remember, action is always your best antidote to overthinking. See you in the next episode.